What is the single scariest notification you have ever received? For me, it wasn't a text from a stalker or a fraud warning from my bank. It was an airdrop request I received at 35,000 feet. It simply said, "I'm going to crash this plane." I was flying home to Chicago on a red-eye flight. I had the window seat in row 14, wearing my oversized hoodie and noise-canceling headphones. The cabin was pitch black since most people were asleep, and I was just trying to zone out listening to a true crime podcast. I had just closed my eyes when my iPhone buzzed violently in my lap. I looked down, squinting as the screen lit up the dark cabin. Unknown. User wants to share a photo. I frowned. I usually keep my airdrop on contacts only, but I must have switched it on for a conference earlier and forgot to turn it back off. I hit decline immediately. I figured it was just some bored teenager a few rows back trying to airdrop memes to strangers. 5 seconds later, it buzzed again. Same request. I declined it again, feeling annoyed. Then it buzzed a third time. Okay, this was getting creepy. I pulled my headphones off and looked around the silent cabin. The man next to me was asleep with his mouth open. Across the aisle, a girl was scrolling TikTok with her brightness all the way down. Nobody looked suspicious. I accepted it. I wanted to see what it was so I could report it to a flight attendant. The photo opened and my stomach instantly dropped. It was a picture of me. It was taken from behind, right exactly now. I could see the back of my messy bun, the hood of my sweatshirt, and the specific podcast artwork playing on my lock screen. I whipped my head around to see who was behind me. Row 15 was an elderly couple, both asleep. Row 16 was completely empty. Who took this? Then, a text file popped up via airdrop. "I see you, 14A. Don't turn around again." The game has started. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I nudged the sleeping man next to me, asking if he took it, but he just grunted and turned away. Suddenly, a chime echoed through the cabin. It wasn't the intercom. It was a distinct Apple notification sound. Ping, then another. Ping, ping. It rippled through the plane like a wave. Everyone with an iPhone was waking up. I have the override code. The video showed a gloved hand reaching toward the keypad. 10 minutes, the voice whispered. Count them down. Panic exploded in the cabin. Flight attendants ran down the aisle looking terrified, shouting for everyone to sit down. I grabbed one by the arm and shoved my phone in her face. "He sent a picture of me. He's right behind us." She looked at the photo. The girl across the aisle gasped loudly. A woman 2 rows up stood up and asked what the hell was happening. I looked at my phone. A new airdrop. This time, a video file titled "The End.Move." I pressed play. The video wasn't pre-recorded. It was a live stream. It showed the cockpit door from a shaky, low angle. A digital, distorted voiceover whispered, "The pilot has locked the door, but it doesn't matter." Then at the empty seat behind me, her face went white. "That angle isn't from a seat," she whispered, trembling. "It's too high. That's from the ceiling." I looked up. Next to the no smoking sign was a tiny black camera lens. It wasn't a passenger. The plane itself was hacked. My phone pinged again. 4 minutes, time to drop. Suddenly, the plane lurched violently. The nose pitched down. Gravity crushed us forward. Screams filled the cabin as oxygen masks dropped. I grabbed mine, but no air came out. Instead, a voice came through the mask's tube right in my ear. "Do you want to play a game, Elena?" The pilot screamed over the intercom that the controls were dead. A businessman with a laptop across the aisle started typing furiously. "I see the signal," he yelled. "It's a brute force attack. We need the password." "I don't know it," I screamed over the noise of the diving plane. "Yes," he yelled. "Look at the clues. Look at the photo." I looked at the airdrop name. Unknown user. No help. I closed my eyes trying to remember the photo. The podcast on my screen. The Zodiac Killer. "Try Zodiac," I screamed. "Type Zodiac." He hit the keys and pressed enter. The screen flashed red. Access granted. The plane groaned. The nose snapped up just seconds before we hit the water. We leveled out, skimming the waves. We were alive. Then, one last notification chimed. "Game over. You win this round, Elena." I looked at the camera lens above my head. The red recording light slowly faded to black. I haven't flown since, and I never, ever leave my airdrop on.